So I want to welcome you all. Thank you so much to all of you for coming and being here. I am so happy, glad, and grateful that you have taken time to be here tonight. I'm delighted to see you all. Is anyone new to me? Like, has anyone not? Okay. So good. For those of you who are new to me, I want to just specifically for you guys, how have you done, have you consciously ever worked with, before I ask that, let me ask this. Is anyone new to the idea of a channel? Does everyone in the group know what a channel is? Is there anyone who's doesn't know what a channel is? You don't know what a channel is? Have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks? Okay. A channel, when I channel, and that will happen in the second part, I'll give you the flow of it, but a channel is someone who's bringing through information, energy, and consciousness from the non-physical. So while I'm at one with them, I'll explain it better when we get there. Oh, there's ink all over my hands now. But I'll explain it better when we get there, but it's really, it's a consciousness that is non-physical. And when we talk about channels, when we get into that, I'll describe more of who I'm channeling, okay? All right, so with that though, for the people who are brand new to me, is there anyone who's new to energy healing, energy work? Okay, so nobody's new to that. No, everybody in the group has done some. Have you done some form of energy healing or energy work? Okay, good. All right, so let me introduce myself to those of you who don't necessarily know me. My name is Spagna. I've been doing this kind of work for over 20 years now as a professional energy healer, energy worker, healer, intuitive channel, call it a professional light worker. Are you guys familiar with that terminology, light worker? So for today, come on in. You're welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Hi, you guys. So here's how the flow of tonight will go. The first half, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with you and what's most important to you, because the purpose of tonight is for you to get whatever is right and appropriate for you and for your most benevolent best. So we'll talk a little bit about what's going on, what your questions are, what you're needing, and then we'll take a break. And then the second half, which will be likely about an hour to a good hour, that will be a healing meditation. So you've all done meditation before. There's no one in the room who's new to meditation, right? And so when we talk about healing meditation, what's the difference between a regular meditation and a healing meditation? Does anyone know? Come on. You guys know. Okay, healing meditation is we're using energy. What's the secret about energy, you guys? What's the secret about energy? Energy's everything. Like, there's only one thing that's more than energy. What's that? God. Right? Consciousness. God is consciousness. So, okay. All right, so let me ask you all of this. And even before that, so the first part, we're going to just do some talking, finding out what's important to you. Second part, we'll take a break, then we do energy healing meditation. And we'll be working with energy to give you any form of healing. Let me talk a little bit about, when we're talking about healing, what we mean by that. A lot of people, when we think of healing, people tend to think of something physical, as if something physical needs to be healed. And that's true. But also what we're talking about is any form of any beliefs, belief systems, thought patterns, anywhere you're struggling in life, any behavioral patterns that you feel like you can't break free from, anything in your life that feels limiting or restrictive to you in any way. So healing does not have to be about anything physical. It can even be mindset shifting. Anywhere you're operating in your life where you feel like you're not operating at your full potential. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when we get into this part where we're talking about what's going on, this is where you get to say, you get to ask for what you want. But what I want you to get about the energy healing, it's not a meditation where you zone out, although you certainly can grab, when we get to that part, a mat, and if you want to lay down, that's fine. But everything is based entirely on free will, conscious consent, which means you want to be awake and aware when we get to that point, and you want to be using your free will to give consent, because all of it will be based 100% on your free will choice. So if you don't want something at some point, you'll just say, no, thank you, I don't want that. But chances are you will, because it's all really good. Is there anyone in the room who's never experienced what it means to be in a theta brainwave state? Have you all consciously been in a theta brainwave? Is anyone not? Not sure. Okay, you're going to do that tonight. So let me talk a little bit about that briefly. Right now, what brainwave are we using right now?
Beta.
Beta. Beta is active and alert. When you do a light meditation, what brainwave are you using?
Delta. Alpha.
Alpha. What is the job of the alpha brainwave? The job of the alpha brainwave is to say, yes, all is well. Put you into homeostasis. That's why when you breathe deeply and you relax, you get into an alpha brainwave and you start to feel better, because that's what the alpha brainwave does, right? The theta brainwave is the brainwave that most humans have not learned how to access, but that's the brainwave for telepathy, telepathic communication, extrasensory abilities. Anyone interested in awakening more of your extrasensory abilities? Okay, good. What, for those of you who maybe aren't sure, what are your extrasensory abilities? What are they?
Clairaudience.
Clairaudience,
Yeah.
the ability to hear. Clairvoyance, the ability to see. What else? Claircognizance, the ability to know, direct knowing. We call that gnosis, right? Gnosis, knowing. Clairsentience, the ability to feel extrasensory, right? We're all becoming more conscious beings. Do you mind closing the door in the back there? Excuse me. Thank you so much. So, we're awakening more of that. So you're going to get chances are when we go to that theta brainwave, we're going to get very light, but you're still going to be very active and alert and awake, okay? Has anyone ever learned about opening the heart portal? Yes? Okay, good. So when we talk about the heart portal, most people don't know that this is a portal. This is a portal. It's the only chakra center. You guys know about the chakras?
Yes.
So it's the only chakra center that has two colors, right? What are the two colors of the heart chakra?
Pink and green.
Pink and green, right. Green for the physical earthly realm. Pink for the higher realm, or magenta, which is what we equate with love, right? So for most humans right now, we're just starting to learn how to open up this heart center. When we open this heart center, more of our direct connection, direct experience with our source, God, the infinite, the all that is, however we personally understand and know that God, starts to be accessible for us, right? So we're going to do a practice that's going to help us open up this, what I call this core pillar. What's the core pillar? Your major chakra centers, right? So major chakra center here. What's this root chakra, right? Root chakra is your buttocks. And what is that for? What is that? Why is that important? Safety, security, connection to the earth. When it's cleared, we generally don't have a lot of fear, or we release a lot of fear. We don't need to carry it because that's survival issues, right? And of course, it regulates this part of the body. So does anyone have any issues with their buttocks area, hemorrhoids, anything like that? That chakra center, if it's not open and clear, we could potentially have blocks in that area that cause physical issues. The reproductive center is the second chakra, and that governs all of these organs in this area, these parts of the body here, the reproductives. And when this is working healthy and fine, we have no physical health issues, but also this governs balance in our lives. Who's feeling off balance in life? Anyone? Yeah. And this also governs how we relate. This is a relationship, so balance in relationships, equanimity, fair exchange, giving, receiving, your relationship with money, your relationship with God, your relationship to yourself, your relationship to everyone and everything, right? Third chakra, what's that one?
Solar plexus.
Solar plexus, what's that? Personal power. Anyone feel disempowered in this world right now? Does anyone? Come on, you guys. You're not being honest. You got to be honest. You got to be honest with your own self, right? You got to make a decision tonight. I want to invite all of you to make a decision to be really honest with yourself. so that, because this is between you and you, so that you can receive the maximum benefits tonight for your most benevolent best. See, everything's going to be about that, but it's up to you to decide and to choose, right? Because to me, we're living in a reality that has been thieving our power. And it's up to us, part of reclaiming our power, whether we have issues, whatever our issues are. We'll talk about this because this is the part where it's all up to you. But this is the time for us to be reclaiming our power so that we can truly live the lives we were meant to live. Who here really wants to live the life you're meant to live? Well, how do you define that for yourself? And you don't have to necessarily answer, but how do you define your most benevolent best life? Because the one thing that I would say, however you define it, because your most benevolent best is yours, but it is your most benevolent best. Which means you are fulfilled, happy, feeling good, feeling peaceful. What would unshakable inner peace feel like to you? What would that be worth for you? Unshakable inner peace. No matter what's going on in the three-ring circus outside, the three-ring circus on the TV, the three-ring circus on the commercials, the three-ring circus at the Olympics, the three-ring circus with politics, right? You could have unshakable inner peace. That can't really happen until this power center is reclaimed, restored to balance, all these energy centers restored to divine alignment. What do I mean by divine alignment? You are aligned with your source. Your source. And, we're at Unity Church, so I think we all feel comfortable with the word God, with the name, the identification of God. But one of the beautiful things here is that we get to describe or connect in our unique way. So you may call your God Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or whomever. Or love or the field, the quantum field. That's all okay, right? But your source of supply of all that is coming through you. And when this core pillar is open, it's flowing through you. And that's when you start living your highest fulfillment, your best, your most benevolent best life. All the areas that we struggle with, where we're challenged, whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's relationship, whether it's job, whether it's career, whether it's happiness and fulfillment, those are simply areas where we're not aligned with our source. Does this make sense? Where we're out of alignment, either through the way we think, what we believe, what we perceive, or how we feel, right? So when we're opening these chakra centers, this is the heart pillar. We know the heart, the heart center, right? This regulates this area, by the way, right? So when we have heart issues or back issues, Nick, can I grab you for some help? Because I know, do you mind just grabbing some, I just knocked this over. Just some tissues, but you don't have to pick it up. We'll just leave it, just tissue so it doesn't, I don't want you to get hurt. Okay, all right, be careful. Broken glass, you know what that means?
No. What?
Breakthroughs. Breaking through glass ceilings, that's what we're all doing tonight. All right, so everybody's with me on this, right? What's throat chakra? What's the throat chakra?
Communicate.
Yes, and truth, authenticity, trusting in yourself to be authentic. If we have thyroid issues or neck issues, I'm sorry, and thank you so much for that. Right, this can be off, right? So we're going to open this core pillar. Here's where a lot of your psychic abilities come from, right? What's this? Third eye, right? We call this, there's actually master glands in the brain. Here, pineal gland and pituitary glands. So when we do our practice tonight, we'll be opening more of that up for us, right? We have to decalcify this pineal gland and pituitary gland, these master glands, in the center of the brain. Why are they calcified?
Fluoride.
Yes. What else?
TV commercial.
TV commercials, technology, sweet and low, artificial sweeteners, diet sodas, sugar, alcohol, things that we sometimes enjoy, right? It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the things you enjoy, but it does mean you want to start being conscious of what you're putting in your body because certain things actually shut us down. artificial foods, genetically modified foods, etc., right? And then this, what's this crown chakra? That's our connection, that unifies us with the higher realms in a sense, where we get to receive direct information, right? So we're going to be opening this core pillar, and we're going to be clearing, healing, and resolving whatever it is that's bothering us. That's where we're going to go to next. And we're going to activate more of this heart chakra. Does it make sense? Everybody with me on this?
Yeah.
All right, now is where you get to be honest with you. Not only that you truly want to live your most benevolent best. Are we all in agreement? Does everybody
Yes.
want that in your life? Okay. Anyone not in agreement on that one? Okay, so this is where you get to be honest with yourself. You get to really decide tonight, in an honest way, where in your life maybe you have allowed some form of fear or worry or doubt or insecurity or frustration, struggle. Those are all various forms of fear, by the way. Uncertainty to interfere in your life. That's the stuff we want to clear. Why do we want to clear that? Because that's not the truth of who we are. Those are the games of separation. Does this make sense to everybody? Is everyone with me? Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I have another one in there. Thank you so much. So old, I call this old paradigm. Does this make sense to everybody? Old paradigm? So we're breaking free from this old paradigm where we've been living in this state of fear, or letting fear, worry, doubt, frustration, smallness, inadequacy, struggle, etc. dictate our experience without us even fully realizing. And so in this process that we're going to be doing, we want to clear, heal, and resolve as much of that as we can. What do I mean when I say clear, heal, and resolve?
Let go, surrender, clear the energy that's been blocking us.
Yes. What I mean really, yes, is expunge it. Let's get rid of it. We don't need that anymore. So that we can let more of the light and the divine consciousness flow through us. Because the truth is, we are part of that. We're not meant to be in separation from our God. It's not some kind of Santa Claus in the sky. We're part of it. It's part of us. It's within us. So we want to awaken it, because this new paradigm we're shifting into is about the divine coming in and through, into the physical world, to be birthed through us, to bring it into this world. And I say it because you get to decide who your God is and what your God is and how you relate to your God. So some of us say male, female, mother, father, or some of us go beyond gender. So is this landing with everybody? You guys all with me? All right, so let's talk about some of the things that have held you back. What are some of the things that you're working on, struggling with, want to shift or change, heal or resolve? Come on, you guys. You don't need to be afraid. Come on. What are you working on?
Money.
Money issues. Okay, so money issues. Let's talk about the root of it, right? Because this is where you get to get some clarity. Does anyone want some clarity? Mm-hmm. Right. Money issues are always coming from a root-related issue related to self-worth and self-value. So the calling for money issues is to work on the relationship with the self, to really deepen the connection with the source, to understand this truth, this fundamental truth. This is what you are: worthy and deserving and valuable because you exist. That's it. Because you exist. All of us. We are worthy and deserving and valuable because we exist. But we struggle with money because we don't understand worth, value, and we don't always realize and recognize our connection with our source that is infinite supply. And something in our unconscious is somehow blocking us. Something in our unconscious is somehow limiting us. And the reason it's limiting us is because we're here to resolve that. We're here to heal and resolve that. So that's an awesome one, because everybody, like maybe not everybody, but so many people are dealing with that, right? By the way, anyone have an 8 in your birthday? Anywhere in your birthday? Yeah, okay, where's it showing up? Month, day, or year?
Year.
Okay, so it's the second two digits, you got an 8? Anyone have an 8 in their month or day? Then this is a big issue for you.
Not at all.
You're on the other extreme, it's in the first position, Leo,
I'm in the 8th month.
8th month, okay. Then you're on the other extreme. That's okay, it's still an issue for you, you're just not fully conscious and aware of where you're here to bring it and restore it into some kind of balance. But that's all right, it's good. You'll get whatever you're meant to, right? What other issues? You tell me, what do you guys want to work on?
Health issues,
Health issues. Okay, can we be more specific?
like what kind of health?
Yep.
Blood sugar issues.
Okay, blood sugar. Let's go there. Blood sugar. What does that resonate for you? Where does that land for you? Blood sugar is related to the sweetness of life. How do we accept and enjoy and take in the sweetness of life? Are we worthy and deserving, and is it possible for us to enjoy and to have enjoyment in the sweetness of life? Can we fully embody that beyond the brain? Right? So that's something, when we get into the healing, we want to make sure we cover that for you. Okay. But does that land? Does that make sense for you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have a 6 in your birthday. That's a 6 number in numerology. Okay, good. What else?
Trauma.
Trauma. Okay. Does anyone in the room think you don't have trauma? Does anyone think Right, because there's like nobody who doesn't have trauma, right? So can we get a little more specific? All right. Can we get a little more specific? Do you know specifically what the trauma is for you?
Yeah. Childhood abuse.
Okay, so abuse. So when we're talking about abuse, the person themselves who's been abused is here to resolve certain issues, right? We'll bring that in, what we can, but number one is we want to heal and resolve victim-victimizer patterning, right? Because the job of the victim who's been abused is to become victorious. That's part of your soul's agenda, to recover what has been lost through that trauma, which is you victorious. You being the victorious woman that you truly are, empowered woman, reclaiming your power as a victorious woman. That's only part of it though. The other part is really learning the self-love and self-worth piece, because someone in the past did not recognize or honor your self-worth, and because they didn't have it, right? They didn't know how to love. So the soul, in this case the soul is here to resolve that issue, to learn self-love and self-worth. This is a totally different kind. It's knowing your lovability, wholly and completely, and that's part of how you rise as victorious. Does this make sense? Does this land for you? Okay. So, and what we're doing here is we're just bringing it up because we know we want to address it, but when we get into the healing portion, it's so far beyond words, right? It's so far, we're not working anymore with the brain. Right now we're in a beta brainwave, right? The challenge of the beta brainwave is it takes it in, but it can't really heal it or resolve it. Why is that? Why can't the brain heal it or resolve it?
On a different energetic plane.
Yes, because what's the truth of who we are? What's the truth of who we are? Are we just physical bodies? No, right? Are we just brains thinking? No. So what we have is our physical, then we have a layer energetic of emotional, right? The emotional field. Then beyond the emotional field, we have the mental field. Then beyond the mental field, we have the auric field, which is a light, that's when you can see your aura, right? Beyond the auric field, we have the light body field, which is just more radiant light. There's 24 dimensions of bodies around us. Around us, if we're identifying just as the physical. And the truth is, you're all those bodies. You're a 24-dimensional being. Do you know how tall you are? How big you are? Energetically. Do you know how tall, big you are energetically?
21 feet.
7 stories. 7-story building. That's how much light you are. Light and consciousness. Light and consciousness. So when we're talking about like a trauma, for example, or a money belief system that's not working, this is why the brain cannot fix it. This is why we do what's called looping patterns. Anyone do hamster wheel things? You're doing the same thing over and over again? Yeah. Because the brain can't resolve it. And the pattern is playing out. And the pattern is energy. So the energy could be a trauma of feeling like a victim. The energy could be feeling worthless. The energy could be, feeling like I can't get healthy no matter what I do. The energy could be, you don't know how to enjoy the sweetness of life. Whatever it is, it's stuck on not just in the physical. Yes, the whole physical body has a record and a memory of it. Memory meaning a knowing, right? An experience. You've experienced it. You experience it over and over again. You've had direct experience feeling like you don't have enough money or you can't get the sweetness of life or whatever it is. And that's stored up in the fascia, in the bones, in the joints, in the ligaments, the whole body. It's stored up in certain parts of the brain, right? What parts of the brain?
Reptilian, for sure.
For sure, for sure. And it's stored up specifically in two areas of the brain. The hippocampus, which is the back of the brain, right on the sides of the reptilian brain, and it's not the hippocampus. That's the thymus, the two sides right on the side of the brain, and then the hippocampus. Two parts of the brain that store up fear, all kinds of fear and trauma. These parts of the brain, what do they call them in the physical world? Not the brain, but this stuff we're talking about.
Subconscious.
Yes, and even better, they call it your ego. You don't have an ego. Does Archangel Michael have an ego? Does Jesus have an ego? No, you don't have an ego. You have trapped energy in the body, in the brain, and it's not true. It's not the truth of who you are. This is landing for everybody. Is everyone with me? So our job is to clear that out. Now, beyond the physical, there's that emotional field around us. Anyone have emotional dysregularity? Anyone feel like emotionally, like you can get emotionally triggered, you can get fired up, you can get emotionally upset, you can go into some kind of emotional drama, upset, some form of depression, sadness, grief, unhappiness, etc. Right? That's the emotional body. That's basically, think of you're an orb of light and consciousness. So that emotional body is part of the orb that you are, and it's got all this trapped debris. Traumas from other lifetimes, hurts, upsets, insults, etc. This is why the brain can't clear that out. The brain doesn't even realize, there's a whole field around me that's got some of this memory stored, right? And we can go on and on. So because you're a multidimensional being, all this stuff is stored in all your field. Does this make sense? Okay, so the idea with energy healing, going back to the energy healing, is we're clearing as much of this, I call it density, out of your field. And the reason regular meditation won't get to it is because it can't reach those multidimensional aspects of the whole of who you are. So what we're going to do tonight is our best to clear through all those levels and layers as much as we can. This is why we talk about it as expunged. We want to expunge this stuff because it's not the truth of who we are. There's no one in this room who's not a brilliant, magnificent, fabulous, amazing, exceptional, phenomenal being. That's why we're here, to bring forward this light. That's why we're here, to clear out this stuff that's not the truth of who we are. Make sense? Is that helpful? All right, what other issues do we want to bring up?
Trust myself.
Self-trust, that's awesome. Is there anyone in the room who can't relate to that? What would it feel like in your body? Like, take a breath now. And what would it feel like to just be able to live your life, being able to trust yourself? Being able to trust that you're safe, that all is well, that you'll always be provided for, that you'll always be taken care of, that whatever you need, you'll have, that you can trust yourself to navigate this physical world safely, authentically, intelligently, wisely. Like, what would that feel like in your whole body? What would it be like to live that, to have that knowing? Because that's really what we want that, right? Who doesn't want divine certainty, divine confidence, divine clarity, divine trust, self-trust, right? Trust in self and source, right? Okay, That is a very easy one to give. Because the thing about these things is, with all these levels and layers, you know, sometimes things get stuck. Well, how do they get stuck? Okay, because there's so many levels and layers of who we are. Think of it like a spider web, right? You can kind of pull the thread and you can loosen things, you can get something out or unstuck, but if it's tied in with something else, it can still get stuck there, right? But self-trust is a very easy one. It's an easy one. I just know that as a healer, it's an easy one to give you. You start trusting yourself much easier. It's a good one. All right, good. What other issues?
Soulmate encounter.
Soulmate?
Yeah, with encounter, separation, something.
Okay, can you help me understand that better? What does that mean, counter
Really?
separation?
I met this girl about 3 months ago, and we just kind of hit it off. I mean, just like soul shit.
Instant chemistry?
But it awakened something where, like emotions, all that, like the ego, just, and
You had firecrackers, fireworks, and then it just, what, fizzled out, or what? It just
Well-
too much bang? Too much bang too fast? You know, that's what soulmates
yeah,
do.
so it was like, what's going on? And, but she ended up moving to North Carolina because of, she wanted her kids to be closer to their dad. And so going through like a lot of like emotions and all that kind of thing, like it was like your soul's being like ripped out of your heart. And it's the weirdest thing. And so it was like sadness and all that kind of thing. You're like, what do I do now? Like, where do I go with this? So, I actually talked to you on the radio like a few months ago on the George Norrie show.
Ah,
I had to
that's awesome.
drive down here to say hi.
I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
But yeah, that's kind of like where I was going.
All right, well, let's talk about soulmate stuff for a second. So soulmate stuff that's what soulmates do. They are meant to trigger. So you can define soulmates in different ways, right? The way I define it is that the soul comes in to mate with another soul, to share something so powerful that will trigger them to become more conscious of an aspect of their own self that is in separation from source. So the souls come together to mate, to learn and grow, and somehow evolve. A soulmate relationship doesn't necessarily mean a lifetime partnership. In fact, in many cases, it doesn't. That doesn't mean lifetime partnerships aren't soulmates. It means that those are divine appointments. I call those divinely appointed. They're still divine appointments. That's not the best way to say it. But in any case, if you're looking for your forever person, is anyone in here looking for that? What's the fastest way to get that? And then I'll come back to your specific. But what's the fastest way to get your forever person?
Stop looking. That was my answer.
Stop looking.
The fastest way to get your forever person is to completely fall in love with yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't mean from an ego, false arrogance, false superiority. I mean authentically decide to fall in love with yourself and then bring that love forward into the world, that you can love, honor, respect every other person in the world too, even if you don't like them. So this is what I'm saying with a soulmate who comes in. They're showing you somewhere where you are not loving, honoring, and respecting your own self, where you haven't totally fallen in love with you. And because you're in the dance of like, what happened here? I mean, I can give you the psychic answer of what happened there. She's got fight-flight issues. She does a disappearing act because it was too scary for her. So she took the comfort zone, which was to flee. She has unstable. I don't even know this woman. I'm giving you insight of what I'm being told. Does this make sense?
Oh, yeah.
It's called in relation. It's unstable relating patterns. There's a word for this, but I don't have the word. It'll come to me later. But she's not able to be stable in a foundational relationship because she too doesn't know how to fully love herself and accept herself. So this is I'm only offering this to you to give you insight, because part of what's struggling in your brain is you can't figure out what happened. and you got yourself in a looping pattern. Is this making sense to you?
In a way.
Yeah, because you're going over it. What happened? How did this happen? Why did this happen? I thought we had something so great. And that looping pattern has got you entangled in the mental minutia that's keeping you from the real work, which the real work is falling in love with yourself. Does that make sense?
In a way. I think she's going to come back though.
You think she's going to come back?
Like an intuitive thing. I don't know. I've kind of asked myself, like deep down, then it's like if it's a no answer, I'll do kind of like a tingly vibration, like a push away. But if it's a yes, then it's like a calm soothing. So I get the calm soothing thing, but it could be, I don't know when, but that's
In the interim, you can fall in love with yourself. Yeah.
sort of it.
Yeah, I would think so, but,
All right, wait, so one thing I would love to have here, I love discussion, but I don't want to do too much crosstalk here because we'll go off on a tangent down a million directions. So let's make sure everything's
I
faced,
think,
you know.
like for me, for that self-love is like finding that like, that thing, like that mission that is kind of like that you feel like God has for you. So you like, once you kind of do that mission, you're like on that path and you're like doing what you feel like you're supposed to do for God. Then you kind of like people, like, people see that and they look up to like whatever it is. If it's like some type of leadership or something, then they'll like look at you with probably more love. You know what I mean? So like basically like it could be like if you're looking at that person too much, they get like kind of nervous because like they're like you're just looking at them, but you're not really on your mission. So it's like it becomes like that can also make it more scary. You know?
Mm-hmm. Are you on your mission? How are you doing with your soul's true divine agenda?
Yeah, I'm good. I feel like I'm definitely, everything's coming together. Just patiently waiting.
Ah, awesome. Who feels like you're living in accordance with your soul's true divine agenda?
Partially.
When you're living in accordance with your soul's true divine agenda, life will start to unfold the way it's meant to, like divine alignment. Red carpet rollout. Things just happen. They just flow. Like when I called Bruce, it was literally yesterday from the coffee shop. I was like, hey, are you available? Like, can you just show up? He was like, yep. Like, that is what I mean. Stuff just, and we hear about that all the time, right? When we're not living in accordance with our soul's true divine agenda, that's when we get, that story, you've heard that, like Oprah said it, you've heard that, you get a whisper, then you get a push, you get a shove, then you get a car accident, right? Because you're not on your right path. That's why car accidents happen. Car accidents happen because someone's not living in accordance with their soul's agenda. All right, so what other things? What are some of the, by the way, if you want to know more about your soul's true divine agenda, it's very easy to find this in certain places. In other words, it's always within the depth of the core of your being. It's always coming from within you. It's also stored up in your DNA, right? Your DNA, which we'll do tonight, DNA activations. I know some of you have had them. Has anyone not had a DNA activation ever at? Oh yeah, you're gonna love it. It's so good. So we'll talk about DNA activations, but your soul's agenda is stored in your DNA. The records of what your soul wants to heal and resolve, the records of what your soul wants to expunge or clear, and the records of what your highest fulfillment is. And that's your karma dharma, right? It's not a punishment, karma dharma. This is what the soul wants to resolve, and this is what the soul wants to accomplish, give, and contribute. This is her highest fulfillment, or his highest fulfillment. This is going to be the painful struggle, but it's what they're here to resolve, clear, and expunge, and take the lessons from. So that's an important piece here, is the taking the lessons, because this idea that you have to learn lessons, who subscribes to that? You have to learn lessons, you're here to learn lessons, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, but when you start connecting with your source through an open core pillar, an open heart, a real open heart, not like I I don't mean physical, I mean this portal's open. And through union with the source, which we can do through that theta brainwave access, allowing this energy to flow of source consciousness, when that happens, you get the lesson without having to learn it, to go through the struggle of it. So, for example, for you, Aaron, what is your... Yes. So for you, you can get the lesson when we go into the theta brainwave, when we go into the meditative state. You can get everything. You can ask for it. You guys will have to ask me. This is why we're bringing it up now, but because you have to ask for it, you have to be willing. But you can get everything you're meant to know, see, perceive, realize. Everything you're meant to understand. Everything you're meant to learn from this experience. So that you can claim those lessons, so you never have to repeat it again. And that doesn't mean you won't have a soulmate, or if she's the right one that she won't come back. It means that you get what you're meant to get, so that you can be free and liberated from any form of the pain or suffering, the struggle, so that you're freed up to have the experience that's truly for your most benevolent best. And if it happens to be with her, then it will be. And if it's not, then it'll be something better. Does this make sense? Like, isn't that awesome, right? Does that sound good? All right, so, all right, I want to make sure, like, what other things do we want to ask about? Because we're going to go to a break. Yes?
Parent-child relationships.
Okay, struggling with the parent-child. So 8 is, in your case, as a Leo, authority issues. And authority issues is claiming your power as an authority, but not an authority over, to have power over another, but how to work in flow, union, and connection with another, right? And to see and recognize the authority even in the child, because the children are the teachers to the parents. So this lesson that you're struggling, and it is linked to your worth and power, your sense of personal power, which is a personal worth issue. Because if you're in some way in some kind of push-pull relationship dynamic, who hasn't ever had one of those? Right. Push-pull relationship dynamics are always about reclaiming one's power. When one reclaims one's power, they don't need to have a push-pull dynamic. They just simply are like, okay, this is the way it is. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be the way I'm meant to be. And I'm going to allow that other person to be whoever they are, right? I'm oversimplifying, but this is one of those things we can give you downloads on. Does it make sense? Okay, all right, good. But is that helpful? Does that make some sense with that? Some degree? Okay.
Some degree, yes.
Yeah. All right, good. Anything else? Anyone else want to bring up? All right, let me just mention the DNA. Oh, Sherry.
I think you already know, but the grief.
Grief, right. Lifting of grief. Yeah, we want to expunge the grief from your system. In our reality, because that energy of grief, like this is so important. I really want you guys to get this. Anything you feel in life, it's energy. Who's ever felt deep grief? Deep grief, right? And so the energy of grief is not the same thing as the energy of love. Do we get that? But the energy of grief, when it's in our field, that's what we feel. And we misassociate sometimes. It's just so encompassing. It takes us over, that grief, right? But the love will remain if the grief is gone. And the grief is just energy. Does this make sense? Anyone feel the energy of feeling lost or lonely ever? When you're lonely, you really think like you're lonely. You're so lonely, right? Has anyone felt that? You're so lonely. But what if the energy of loneliness was gone? Would you still feel lonely? No. You wouldn't. And see, we don't realize in our reality that energy is everything we experience that is not actually doing. It's all the energy of feeling and thinking. Who's ever felt lost? Like you're just lost, you don't have clarity, you don't know where you're going or what your next step is or what your right direction is. Anyone ever felt like that? Mm-hmm. Okay, that energy, that lack of clarity, it's energy. So when we're going through it, we're just feeling it. We think it's real, and we're identifying with it. We think it's ours. We don't realize in that moment, this is just energy. It is not the truth of who I am. I don't have to feel this. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. We might judge it as wrong. Depression, anyone ever felt depressed? Sad? Okay, those are energies. There's nothing wrong with them, not from Creator's perspective. From Creator's perspective, everything's allowed. This is the land of the physical world to experience. This is the land of infinite experiences in physical, right? We get to choose our experience. But can you understand that you can choose grief? And you can also choose to not have grief. It's very empowering to get that. You can choose loneliness. See, our old paradigm, we didn't think we had a choice. We felt lonely. There's nothing, you just feel lonely or you feel lost. You just